There's one modern cultural belief that we might not be aware of, but it's seeped into our psyche, and as such it colours our lives. And this notion is the notion that we cannot really know the world. We can at best only experience the world indirectly. This is actually quite a deeply embedded notion, especially if you've had scientific training. Although we like to pride ourselves that we've got greater and greater understanding, this is all based on the assumption that the world is ultimately unknowable. Science is based on our sense experiences, and according to science, our sense experiences are an indirect way of experiencing the world. All we ever get is a model of the world. All our senses are giving us is some kind of model of the world. And it's this model which our brain interprets as reality. It gives us a way of working through reality. This is a scientific assumption. It is the assumption of most of us that the senses only give us a model of the world. So for example, our eyes give us certain information. This information is gleaned from light which is reflecting off objects. We do not experience the object, we only experience reflected light. And based on that reflected light, we build up a notion of what the light was reflected from. We have no way of knowing what that thing that reflected the light truly is. All we've got is some indirect information which our brain constructs a model from. We have no way of knowing how that model correlates with the real thing, because we have no way of knowing what the real thing is. So I want to stress here, this is not some weird hypothesis of mine. This is actually our general cultural understanding. Our general cultural understanding removes us from reality. It's something which needs to be examined in detail, because it's based on the assumption that there is actually something out there. It's based on the assumption that all we can ever experience is a model. Needless to say, this is an assumption. It's a cultural bias. It's based on the assumption that there is something out there. It's based on the assumption that we are not experiencing reality. It's based on the assumption that we are not experiencing what is right here, right now. We can drop all these assumptions. There's a Zen saying along the lines of, in the seeing, just the seeing. In the hearing, just the hearing, and so on. That is the reality. That is the reality we should be starting from. But that's the reality that we culturally and habitually deny. We deny the direct experiencing. We say the direct experiencing is not direct experiencing. This immediately diminishes us on an existential level. It's saying that what we're experiencing is not real, and the reality is something that can never be known. What kind of a deal is that? In spiritual practice, we keep coming back to our experiencing, and we also must keep appreciating that experiencing. The conventional understanding removes us from the center of the universe. Spiritual understanding puts us right back in the essential heart of everything. And we do this by simply appreciating our own experiencing once again. We get in touch with it and we appreciate it. This is what is real. This is the fundamental reality. This is the fundamental reality which our modern cultural bias overlooks. It doesn't even do it deliberately, it does it quite unconsciously. If you're convinced that there is an external world, then you have to look into the nature of that conviction. This is part of your spiritual practice then. This is part of your inquiry. Look into the foundations by which you believe there's an external world. When you believe that there's an external world, it gives rise to so many physical and metaphysical problems. They are irresolvable problems. The only way they can be resolved is by understanding that this unseen reality is not real. It's not real at all. There's nothing behind it. There is no unseen reality. All of reality can be known. It can be known right here, right now, in the immediate experiencing. The immediate experiencing is the starting point upon which we build all our notions. So come back to your immediate experiencing without thinking about it, without judging it, without categorizing it. But as you come back to it, have a deep, silent appreciation of its infinite and omnipotent nature.